All right, let's go ahead and move on to the very latest with regards to our policy vis-a-vis Israel. Let's put this up on the screen. This really says it all about where we are in spite of all the rhetorical shifts from the Biden administration expressing their concern about Palestinian civilians, etc. Meanwhile, the U.S. has just signed off on more bombs and more warplanes for Israel. Subhead here, despite a widening rift with the Israeli government, the Biden administration continues to authorize the transfer of 2,000-pound bombs and other weapons. So specifically, in addition to 1,800 new 2,000-pound bombs, we've also got 500 500-pound bombs. They go on to say the 2,000-pound bombs, you guys probably recall this, have been linked to previous mass casualty events throughout Israel's military campaign in Gaza. They are capable of leveling city blocks and leaving craters in the earth 40 feet across and larger, and are almost never used anymore by Western militaries in densely populated locations due to the risk of civilian casualties. But of course, Israel has used them extensively in Gaza. One, and perhaps most notably, in the bombing of Gaza's Jabalia refugee camp. That was on October 31st. UN officials decried that strike, which killed more than 100 people, as a disproportionate attack that could amount to war crimes. Israel defended the bombing, saying it resulted in the death of a single Hamas leader. 2,000-pound bunker buster bomb to, at best, kill one Hamas leader, again, according to Israel, at the cost of more than 100 Palestinian civilian lives. Saagar, we talked a lot about these 2,000-pound bombs at the time,
yeah,
because exactly what they're laying out here. Our military, which also had some issues, let's say, during the war on terror, and in Iraq and in Afghanistan, et cetera, with regard to protecting civilian life, they said in a dense urban environment, 2,000-pound bombs, no way.
Mm-hmm.
The absolute max they would use is 500-pound bombs. Not to mention, here we are hearing all of this supposed concern about Rafah, where more than 1 million civilians are huddled, desperate, trying to seek safety. We're hearing these supposed concerns, and yet what are they doing in reality? Shipping the very 2,000-pound bombs that could absolutely massacre these people. So don't believe them when they pretend like they care about Palestinian civilians. Like, this is the real policy, and this says it all about where we actually are vis-a-vis Israel.
Well, it's honestly, I was shocked by it because first they tried to do it in secret as if it wasn't going to leak.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, come on, guys, you really think that that's not going to get up? But really what kind of shocked me is that we are fulfilling their wish list almost to a T. These are the exact munitions that they need restocked, which they don't produce for themselves and they can't buy from everybody else. It also fits with, frankly, what has received less scrutiny, but it was also very important. I read this with great interest yesterday. We can put it up there on the screen from the Wall Street Journal. It says, quote, U.S. and Israel's unprecedented intelligence sharing draws criticism. And it basically says that we have expanded intel sharing with Israel after the October 7th attack. Quote, growing concerns in Washington about whether that information is contributing actually to civilian casualties. The justification of the intelligence sharing was that this would allow them to use precision-guided munitions. But it appears actually that instead that the information either may be disregarded or used, let's say, in a very, very different way than it was passed on and it was originally intended. It first began with hostage sharing or hostage recovery because some of the hostages are American citizens, but quickly actually expanded very much into the similar role that we're seeing with the U.S. military play with Ukraine. But if you pair those two things together, I do think it is undeniable that their military campaign that would not at least exist as it currently is without the United States and its support.
Absolutely.
Truth, right?
And from that article, they say the U.S. shares what's known as raw intelligence, such as live video feeds from intelligence gathering drones over Gaza with Israeli security agencies. We had also apparently dramatically expanded our own surveillance of Gaza previously. So I guess we have a lot of these live video feeds that we can offer up to the Israelis. Sarah Yeager, who is Washington director of New York-based nonprofit Human Rights Watch, said the intelligence sharing arrangement has little in the way of rules and restrictions and, quote, essentially opens up the entire U.S. vault. So think about our involvement here, okay? Number one, as we just said, fulfilling the entire wish list whatever they want weapons-wise. We've shipped more than 100 different weapon shipments at this point. Even at this juncture, when the rhetorical concerns about Palestinian civilians have been elevated all the way up to Joe Biden himself, we are still shipping huge quantities of 2,000-pound bunker buster bombs that have been used to absolutely massacre civilians by Israelis. So fulfilling the entire weapons wish list. Okay. What's another key Israeli policy with regard to Gaza? Starvation and collective punishment, which was, complete siege announced at the beginning. They then allowed in a trickle of trucks. We have also done their bidding when it comes to starving and inflicting punishment across the entire civilian population. Specifically, when they asked us to defund UNRWA, we did it. Number one aid organization on the ground, we said yes. Now we have codified into law that UNRWA is defunded at least through 2025. So we're doing their bidding there when it comes to another key policy, which is starving the population. And now we learn, which we probably could have guessed, but good to have the details here as well, that when it comes to the actual targeting and the intelligence sharing and the surveillance of Gaza, working hand in glove. No restrictions, giving them absolutely everything they want and need. And we see Joe Biden himself described their bombing as indiscriminate. So it's not like he doesn't know that they're not precisely targeting Hamas in these pinpoint strikes. We can all see the Dresden-level devastation of the entire Gaza Strip. So in every way imaginable, we are backing and aiding in the most horrifying atrocities that are unfolding before all of our eyes. And to add insult to injury, let's put this up on the screen from Haaretz. Buffer zone and control corridor, what the Israeli army's entrenchment in Gaza looks like. Under the radar, the IDF is creating a border buffer zone that occupies 16% of the Gaza Strip's territory and an east-west control corridor to monitor Palestinians moving north. This is what it looks like in satellite images. They go on to say, without providing many details, Israel is currently pursuing a massive project in the Gaza Strip, again, taking up to about 16% of the Gaza Strip's area for this buffer zone. They have demolished absolutely everything in this area. They say the buffer zone will feature earth dikes and IDF forces will go in and out. There are no plans to set up any permanent military posts inside the zone. That area that has been thoroughly demolished, if you look at the satellite images, used to comprise agricultural feeds, greenhouses, solar panels, and many residential structures. The IDF is now systematically demolishing these structures. Okay, so this matters for a variety of reasons. First of all, one more instance of complete annihilation of Gaza's civilian life unfolding before our eyes, the intentional demolition of everything that is in this area, 16% of the landmass of the Gaza Strip. Second of all, this goes directly against what the U.S. has long claimed is one of our policy red lines with regards to the quote-unquote day after in Gaza. Here's John Kirby speaking to exactly that.
Attributed to some of these ministers at this event, irresponsible, reckless, incendiary, I'd go so far as to say, and certainly doesn't comport with our strong policy statement, what we have made clear, that there can be no reduction in Gazan territory.
No reduction in Gaza territory. Well, it's happening right here before your eyes. The U.S. military, the U.S. intelligence apparatus certainly knows this even better than Haaretz is able to report. And is there any concern over this raised by the administration to the public? None whatsoever.
Yeah, it's a bit laughable. And the other thing I did realize too about the intelligence is that given that the Israelis are probably number the one or two biggest counterintelligence threat to the U.S. intelligence community, sharing them raw intelligence and just expecting them not to glean and possibly steal basically whatever they want and sources, methods, etc., is also probably something that probably should be discussed and would have been, privately, at least in the past, but obviously was overridden by the Biden administration. administration. But anyway, I think what you can see very, very clearly is that at a policy level, as of this was only a 2-day ago result, that the weapons are continuing to flow regardless of any violation of alleged U.S. policy, which means that there is no such U.S. policy.
Yeah,
I think that's at least the headline to me.
That is the bottom line. Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.